Okay. Welcome to session number 2 of our college recruiting information sessions. This month, we're going to talk about communicating with coaches and what that looks like for players within their college recruiting journey. So, to start, where we were last month was going over college soccer overview, creating college lists, creating a soccer resume, and creating highlight videos. A few things that we want to look at more in depth for this conversation is going to be how to communicate with coaches and the next steps to continue conversations and when to move on potentially to the next one, depending on how the conversations are going. So before we go into that too much, two things that you'll want to make sure that you have prior to starting any sort of conversation or having any reach outs or any follow-ups is to make sure that you have your soccer resume. Again, this should be something that's pretty simple and I can provide a template for you. Just making sure that you have your name, your graduation year, your number, the teams that you play for, high school club, contact information for yourself, any test scores, any GPAs, and what you're planning on studying when you get to college. You also want your coach's contact information, playing history, any awards that you've gotten, and importantly, links to highlight videos, and make sure that you're keeping this stuff up to date. There's plenty of player profile systems that we can utilize, so feel free to reach out to ask me any questions about any ones that you should be or could be using. Next step or next one, just to go over quickly here, is going to be creating a highlight video. Some things to keep in mind. Make sure you keep it short, no more than 5 minutes. If you want to have an extended version or a full half, if the coaches reach out to you, that would be a good thing as well. They'll likely not give you a scholarship, so don't worry about it too much. Just make them curious and make them want to continue to have the conversations and to come out and watch you in person. Make sure that you introduce yourself. Make sure that you make yourself visible. Um, Make sure if you have music that it's tasteful. Don't do anything too crazy. You don't really need it. Most coaches will mute video when they hear the music. Uh, there shouldn't be too much cost. Obviously, you'll need to have cameras to be able to do that. I know a lot of us are going to be going into high school season here pretty soon. So hopefully your high school programs have these cameras that you can then use to create clips and highlights for yourself. Ask your coaches at your high school if they have that available for you or not. And then keep it up to date on any profile online that you have. So reaching out to coaches, I think there's two different types and two ways that we'll kind of consider this. A warm reach out is if you have been identified by that coaching staff or if they have reached out directly to you to begin the conversation versus a cold reach out where you're reaching out first. Some important things is if you have staff that's reaching out to you first. If you don't know the school, make sure that you do some research first. Do you see yourself potentially going to school there? Do they have the academics programs that you would be looking for? Would you consider the school if the coach had not reached out after learning a little bit more about it? Um, have a conversation to see how serious they are on you. Ask for in-person meetings if you're planning to be on campus. Make sure that you're sending your soccer profile and highlight videos to them as well as follow-ups. If you're doing a cold reach out first, um, why does the school interest you? What about the academic side of it is interesting to you, including your having a specificity in the major that you are looking to getting into, or any work placement things that could come about from that? Why does the soccer program interest you? Something specific. Make sure that it's about the culture of the program. It's about how they play. It's about who the coach is and what their track record is. Send specific videos and profiles for that school, and then create an action point. So have a note in there. Would love to have a conversation with you. Here's my game schedule, things like that, so that coaches know when they can see you next and what that next action can be. There's three main communication types, and this is important when we talk about dead periods and quiet periods. So written, obviously, letters, emails, texts, anything like that. Verbal is phone calls or in-person feedback, and then visits can be both official and unofficial visits. And we'll talk about some of the different things in there. There are dead periods where coaches are not able to have contact with prospective student athletes. It's mostly at the Division I level for NCAA. For women's soccer, it's going to be December 15th, which is typically around the end of their College Cup through January 5th. For Division I men's soccer, it's the weekend of College Cup. So this year it is December 11th through 13th. And then there is a quiet period where coaches can't have any, well, we'll talk a little bit more about that for Division I men's soccer from December 23rd through December 25th, and that is almost every year. So coaches will take a little break. During dead periods, coaches may not have any in-person contact with recruits or their parents. They're not allowed to talk to recruits at college campus or at the athlete school or even the grocery store. They're still allowed to communicate via phone, email, social media, and other digital communication channels. Um, while Division I programs are prohibited from doing any in-person recruiting, they can still contact prospective student athletes via digital forms of communication. Quiet periods, college coaches cannot have face-to-face contact with college-bound student athletes or their parents off the school campus and may not watch student athletes compete or visit their high school. So coaches can't come and to you, but you can go to them on their campus. So they can't come out and do any evaluations, but you're allowed to talk to them on campus. So official versus unofficial visits. I think the easiest one to say here is unofficial visits are college visits that are not paid for by the school. The visits are entirely financed by the recruits' families. Um, Unofficial visits are unlimited, but some rules do apply. They have to follow certain guidelines within that. But for the most part, it's a lot more open and you have a lot more opportunity to be able to go out and do these types of visits. For official visits, you can go to unlimited number of official visits, but you're limited to only one official visit per school. Unless there is a head coach change, then they're allowed to visit a second time. Visits to Division II and Division III schools are unlimited. The difference here is that the school can pay for the transportation to and from campus, lodging throughout your visits, 3 meals per day, and 3 tickets to a home sports event. So when you see Ohio State with their recruits at Ohio State football games, that would be an example of official visits, or Ohio State football having their prospective student athletes going to a men's basketball game if the football team is out of season. For soccer, recruits can only take official visits starting August 1st before the junior year. So they have a little bit of time before after that initial communication to be able to start to take these official visits. And official visits can only be up to 48 hours long or over the span of a weekend. When you're reaching out, make sure your email is personalized. Make sure you're talking to the right coach from the right program. Um, you have these schools ideally on your list for a reason, and we can go back if you aren't sure what the college list that I'm referring to is here. You can go back and watch the last video to get a little bit more sense of that. Players need to write the email, so parents, please don't do that. Make sure that your email is appropriate. Um, Make sure that your name and graduation year is a good opportunity for that email address. So if I were graduating in the class of 2023, my email address might be brendanvasquez2023@gmail.com. So make sure that you have a easy, appropriate email that you can use to send this information out to coaches. And then make sure that you're frequently checking that account so that you're not missing anything, and have that account be what you're using for all of your recruiting communication. Include update coming games and tournaments, especially any games that are within a driving distance of the school that you're attending. So I would say within a day trip. Whatever you might consider that to be. GPA, making sure that you always have your GPA on there, and then scouting zone or soccer resume. I always have scouting zone because we use that with a different club, but you're having that digital profile that can show a coach a little bit more about you as a player. We had something Similar in the last one, it's a template email. I can send this template out to you, reach out to me if you want that template so that you can have this available for you to be able to use and modify and make your own. This is a very simple one. If you're reaching out, going to a showcase or going to a set of games that's local to the college program that you're interested in, and you want to invite them out, this is a very simple way to kind of hit a lot of those things and make it easier for those coaches to know who you are and to get out to see you. And then a follow up email. So if you recognize that the coach was there, even if you don't get any feedback following up, make sure that you send them a thank you and remind them who you are. Keep a single email thread with all the coaches from the same school. So when you send that initial one out, if you can figure out which coach it is that handles all the recruiting, make sure that that coach is on the email list to start. If you can have all the coaches on staff, keep them on so that they can have a record of your communication with the staff. So if somebody leaves, you're not left in a spot where you are trying to get new communication lines started with the program. Phone calls. This is a big one, and this is one of the action items that you can do within that initial email, especially if you're doing a cold or a follow up. But be prepared to answer questions about the university and soccer program and have questions for the coaches. What is the team culture? Can you put me in touch with players on the team? Can you put me in touch with academic advisors? Can you give me a sense of who would be a good piece for me to understand the culture of this program from so that I'm making the best possible decision. And then what is your timeline for decisions? Have you thought about about when you would like to have a decision made? And then try to figure out when you would like the coaching staffs or what their timeline for making decisions is going to be as well. Each school is going to be different. Each staff is going to be different. Your needs are going to be different from player X. So making sure that you're very clear in your communication, what your needs are and what your timeline is, and then as well making sure that you're understanding what those coaches' timeline is, so that we don't have any miscommunication going either direction. Visits, some things to think about here. When you go on a visit, you want to have obviously a tour of the facilities. If you can observe a team training session or a game, that would be really, really helpful. And this is where reaching out to the coaches, even for the unofficial visits, you can still do a lot of these things and have these set up by the coaching staff. So make sure that you're in that communication with the staff. You're trying to meet with them when you get onto campus. Meet with a faculty advisor or professor within the department that you want to study. Make sure that you get a chance to meet with the team, even if it's or getting a meal with them in the cafeteria. Wherever it might be, make sure that you have a chance to be able to meet the players that are part of this program and part of the culture now so that you understand what it's like to be in there as well. Ask questions of the players. What's the culture and environment like day to day? Is there any major issues with any other players? Eat a meal on campus because that's going to be some of the food that you're going to be eating, especially your freshman year. You want to make sure that that food is going to be good and that you enjoy eating it and that it's not just that food. And then importantly, do you see yourself fitting in at this school? Because at the end of the day, if you attend the school and you don't play soccer, would you still want to be there? If you don't, then it's going to be a lot harder for you to be able to make those decisions. So hopefully, with all of that being said, we had a quick overview of some things that we can consider when communicating with coaches. As always, if you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns as we go through all of this, please let me know. I hope to be able to talk to more of you soon. Good luck with your high school seasons. Um, and if you need anything, feel free to reach out. Appreciate you all. Thank you very much.